Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for S.H.Figuarts Twokaiser from Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. It's like my third take doing this intro because I literally kept saying like Kaizuko Sentai Gokaiger, like no joke. I mean that's like a really obvious joke accident, but that just kept happening. But anyway, this was our second release from the Zenkaiger series. I think it was our second or third figure overall. Another exclusive. This one was a web shop exclusive, I believe, and not a convention one like Zenkaiser Black was. So it is going to cost a bit more on the aftermarket. I believe, getting it from a middleman service / website, it was around over $100. Thankfully, I was able to find one for about, I think it was 80, maybe a little bit less. If you check places like Mandarake or Ami Used, you might get lucky. So that's the only reason I picked it up, because I think Figuarts are overpriced as is, but definitely not worth over $100. But anyway, let's dive in, because this is really a good figure. Let's talk about the accessories first. You can see on him, you have his weapon / morpher, which I will show in a second. When you get him, he has two of the same hands that are, one of them which is on him right now, which is just kind of like a showy, like a showboat, like, hey, look at me hand. But then for the other hand, you get your classic sort of just regular relaxed open. You got your kind of pointy hands, you have holding the weapon hands, your classic Figuarts fists. This is one of the ones that's on him when you get him, which is just kind of showy hands. And then this right here is the blade tip for the morpher changer thing, which we'll show how to switch out here in a second. But as far as this goes, overall it's pretty good. Pretty much your standard Figuarts fare in regards to details. You can see there's lots of molding in there. Wait, lots of nice molding in there. There we go. Strike that, reverse it. And you can even turn the wheel, which is seconds of fun. But that's a nice little detail. It's not, overall, fine. There's not really missing anything, but it's nothing to write home about necessarily. But they did a good job on it. To swap out for the sword mode, you just pull this little piece off here and then snap this on top. I actually think it just looks a little bit cooler with the sword mode on it for this toy. There you go. And yeah, super simple. It's better than having like two random ones there. But let's talk about the figure now itself. So first of all, let's just talk about the articulation. You do get your standard Figuarts articulation. If you're familiar with Figuarts, they're very well articulated. You have a great ball joint around here. You got your swiveling. You got a double knee joint. You have a nice little ball joint at the foot. You have that toe action joint right there. You have a ball joint and chest joint here at the chest and waist. The chest and waist went into accent there. I almost called it an articulation. And then you got a nice ball hinge joint here. Double elbow joint, he's just hitting himself in the head, that's kind of disturbing. The swiveling, you got the swiveling at the fist, and then of course you have a nice ball joint at the head. Of course he is going to be a little bit hindered by his collar. You can sort of force moving his head all the way around, but it's going to look extremely awkward, and I mean if he turned his head all the way around in general, he'd be dead, unless it's some exorcist stuff, but like if he's trying to do that, he's definitely going to hurt himself. So that's going to be a little bit hindered, but that has nothing to do with like the figure not having the articulation. It's just about the design of the character. But overall, also really solid. No loose joint problems. I mean, to be fair, I haven't had any loose joint problems on any of the modern Figuarts I've gotten, but this is definitely one of the most solid feeling ones. Like it feels like if any of them become loose over time, this guy will be the last one too. And overall has a pretty solid feel to it. I still feel that the older Figuarts would often feel a little bit more expensive, but I think that's because of that metal piece in there, and I need to get over that. But it still feels like a solid collectible. It does not feel cheap or like it's, kind of the original Zap release feel where it's expensive, but the feel feels cheap and not worth the money. It feels at least decently in line with an overall quality feel. And you can see by the look of it, it looks fantastic. I think proportion-wise, it gets it pretty damn accurate. I'm sure that it's not 100% like one-to-one accurate if you zoom in on every detail, but it's just in regards to the way his body's proportioned, the way the armor's proportioned, the way the helmet's proportioned, it's pretty close to perfect. If I could make any nitpicks, I would say maybe it feels like he doesn't have as much of a neck, but I mean, overall, for me, it's like 98% close, and it looks far better than the old Sentai Figuarts. And here in a second, I'm going to bring in a comparison to the old Gokai Red, because I think it's a good comparison of showing you how much of an improvement these are. But it looks really good, and the gold paint shines really nicely. I feel like I can't remember from the show that the gold paint was so different on this armor and then this bit. Like, it really stands out so much on the figure. I just don't remember it being that different in the show. But regardless, both of the golds look really good. The gold on here, as you can see, really shines. Like, the camera makes it look really good as well. Like, I think it really shows off how vibrant that gold is. And this gold here too, it's a little bit more understated, but it still has a nice shine to it, but not too much. But it doesn't look like that weird urine color we get with our figures. Also, really like good credit to the design here. You can see that it looks like actual crinkled material of the spandex, which is really nice. Just really well painted, really a beautiful looking figure. You know, this is a great suit. The Gokaiger suits in general were great. I know that this suit, I feel like most people like this suit, but it's still got some bashing about being kind of uncreative. for basically just feeling like it's Gokai Gold with a number on the top. But I was never too mad about that, just because I was a little annoyed that it was our 571st Gold or Silver Ranger. Like, seriously, Sentai, get creative. But in terms of just the costume in general, I love the Gokaiger suits, and this was like a really cool rendition on it. The black gold color scheme is always a win, and I'm really happy to have a really nice looking figure of it. It's a improvement over the basic figure we get, which actually wasn't too bad. I actually have that put away, so I'll do a quick cutaway picture. But obviously, it's a great deal more expensive than that. But it's obviously a significant upgrade. And even though I'm kind of middle of the road on Twokaiser as a character, I love the suit, so I'm really happy to have a figure of it. But now just real quick here, you can take a look here at old Gokai Red, and you can just see the vast improvements. I mean, this thing is still well articulated and well painted, but it really I think this is a good one because even though they're not the same Ranger, they're kind of along the same lines of the suit design, so it allows me to more easily show the differences here and the improvements. And they are making an improved Gokai Red renewal version, which I'll be hopefully being able to pick up and showing, but it just really highlights it. Like, some of the Sentai Figuarts, the older ones, do hold up to a degree, but a lot of them I just think don't, and I think they get put on this pedestal. It's like, look at this. Is this your king? Like, seriously, like, it's so much better. The proportions, and I'm not even just talking about, like, the body looks better in general, but the helmet is really where I'm talking about. You know, the skinniness of the old figures can be a problem for certain characters. Like I said, Deca Blue has more of a broad chest, so you have skinnier mold that doesn't work. But for me, it was always a problem with the helmets. The skinniness made the helmets, like, look squished. And this is just a really good example of showing how much more improved the new Sentai Figuarts are. And I'm glad that since they're back, and they're better than ever. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with this figure. Like I said, it is going to cost you a bit more on the aftermarket because it is an exclusive. I do not think it's worth over $100. It's a great figure. I barely even think it was worth what I paid, but I wanted to jump. I mean, not saying that it's not good. I'm just saying it's a lot of money, guys. The only reason I decided to pick it up is because I really wanted it, and it was the cheapest I had seen it. So my advice is if you really, really want it, if you can find a good price, I can definitely recommend it. I would jump on a good deal, though, because, you know, the aftermarket prices can be hard to gauge. You could get lucky sometimes, and you might find one that goes down in price significantly as the years go on, but then you could also end up in the case where this could go even higher in price. So if you really want it, it's a good figure you'll be happy with. Just find a good deal and capitalize on that deal when you can find it. But that's about it for this one, guys. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for all my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.